a young man, maybe in his late 20s, early 30s, came with his wife. The wife just had a new baby. Then sitting where we were, the man with the baby, a soldier came to him and said, "What did they do here? What did they do here?" And he didn't say anything. So he said, "Take that baby, give your wife, tell them bye-bye." I said, "Move." He got up and started moving. And as he was moving, he was starting to look at the soldier, telling him to move, like, "Where do you want me to go?" And the man pushed him at the back with the gun. Put him at the back with the gun. I said, "Move, Nyamari, move." Say, "One Nigeria." So the guy put up his hand and said, "One Nigeria." And we just heard a crack. Bap. And right there, they shot him. The wife didn't say a word.
In the heart of Africa, a nation was torn apart by conflicts, ethnicity, and power struggles. The Biafran War, a pivotal moment in Nigerian history, remains a painful reminder of the devastating consequences of division and neglect. This is the story of a forgotten war, a people's struggle for survival, and a lasting impact of a nation. The Biafran War, also known as the Nigerian Civil War, lasted from 1967 to 1970. It was a brutal conflict between the Nigerian government and the breakaway state of Biafra, comprising mainly Igbo people. The war resulted in the deaths of over 3 million people, mostly civilians, and displaced millions more. The roots of the conflict lie in Nigeria's complex history. Colonization by Britain created artificial borders, forcing diverse ethnic groups together. Tensions simmered between the dominant Hausa Fulani, Yoruba, and Igbo groups. Economic disparities, resource control, and power struggles fueled the flames of resentment. To truly comprehend the Biafran War, we must delve into its complexities. We will explore the roles of key figures, international intervention, and the human cost of the conflict. As we reflect on this forgotten chapter, we honor the memories of those who suffered and seek to learn from the past. Join us as we uncover the story of Biafra, the people's struggle for self-determination, and the enduring impacts on Nigeria. Nigeria, a nation of over 250 ethnic groups, was artificially created by British colonizers. Dominant Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, and Igbo groups struggled for power and resources. Ethnic tensions simmered, often boiling over into violence. The Igbo, predominantly Christian and commercially successful, were resented by other groups. This resentment would eventually fuel the war. Nigeria's economic landscape was marked by stark disparities. The oil-rich Niger Delta, predominantly Igbo, fueled the nation's economy. However, the wealth was concentrated in the hands of a few, exacerbating regional poverty. The Igbo people, despite contributing significantly to the nation's economy, felt marginalized and excluded from power. This sense of economic injustice would drive their quest for independence. On January 15, 1966, a military coup led by Igbo officers overthrew the government. The coup was seen as an Igbo power grab, sparking backlash from other ethnic groups. The aftermath was chaotic. Anti-Igbo violence swept the north, forcing millions to flee. The Igbo people, feeling unprotected and vulnerable, began to seek independence. Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the Igbo leader, declared Biafra's independence on May 30, 1967. The Nigerian government, led by General Yakubu Gowon, vowed to maintain unity.
If civil war comes, and I do think it is imminent, you're quite right, it will for us be the price for freedom. Our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, and I am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, that the people on the other side would be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long.
The stage was set for a brutal conflict. The Biafran War would last 3 years, claiming millions of lives and leaving a lasting scar on Nigeria's psyche. The Biafran War was marked by savage battles, massacres, and turning points that shaped the conflict's trajectory. After the declaration of independence, Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu, determined to protect his people, began to mobilize. 1967, Nigerian forces launched a campaign to capture Enugu, Biafra's capital. The battle raged for weeks, with Biafran forces putting up fierce resistance. Despite being outnumbered, Biafran forces held out, buying time for the government to establish a new capital.
Other friends of Nigeria will surely come out as a nation because we are fighting a just cause. Even a little child on the street will tell you this. We shall never go back to Nigeria again. God's grace will surely emerge as a nation. And so as far as this war continues, we'll fight to the last man.
In 1968, the Nigerian military launched Operation OAU, a campaign to strangle Biafran's economy and starve its people. As the Biafran War raged on, a humanitarian disaster unfolded. The world witnessed one of the devastating famines in history, sparking an international outcry. The Nigerian blockade choked Biafra's economy, cutting off food supplies. Over 3 million people faced starvation, with children bearing the brunt. Kwashiorkor, a disease caused by severe malnutrition, ravaged the population. The images of emaciated children shocked the world. Millions fled their homes, seeking safety in overcrowded camps. Conditions were dire, with inadequate shelter, food, and health care. Families were torn apart, with many losing loved ones. The trauma would linger long after the war.
You yourself and your closest family.
Oh, everybody here was affected. Practically everybody here had something that touched him.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a few relations. I had to run away from Lagos because it was not safe. Soldiers went to where I worked to look for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I still gave the thing 2 weeks to make sure whether it was just a handful of people getting out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. It seemed like well-planned and coordinated program, so I fled like many other people.
You lost a brother, didn't you?
Yes, in the army in Ibadan, a young fellow. He was killed.
The war claimed over 3 million lives, mostly civilians. Communities were destroyed, leaving deep scars. The war left countless orphans and widows struggling to rebuild their lives. The international community responded with NGOs and governments providing aid. However, the response was often slow and inadequate. Organizations like Joint Church Aid and the ICRC worked tirelessly to deliver aid but faced numerous challenges. Despite challenges, aid efforts saved countless lives. However, the international response was criticized for being too little, too late. The humanitarian crisis lingered long after the war, with many still suffering today. In 1969, Nigerian forces captured Owerri, Biafra's stronghold. The fall marked the beginning of the end for Biafra. As Nigerian forces closed in, Biafran leaders realized the war was lost. On January 15, 1970, Biafra surrendered. General Gowon declared Nigeria's unity, but the scars of war would take decades to heal.
This opportunity to say that I, Major General Philip Effiong, officer administering the government of the Republic of Biafra, now wish to make the following declaration. That we affirm we are loyal Nigerian citizens and accept the authority of the Federal Military Government of Nigeria. That we accept the existing administrative and political structure of the Federation of Nigeria. That any future constitutional arrangement will be worked out by representatives of the people of Nigeria. That the Republic of Biafra hereby ceases to exist.
The Biafran War's impact still resonates today. Reconciliation efforts have been made. The war's legacy in Nigeria politics offers lessons to learn in order to prevent future conflicts. The speech by General Yakubu Gowon after the war, famous for his words, in quotes, "No victor, no vanquished. We must unite and rebuild," set the tone for reconciliation, but challenges remained.
The so-called rising sun of Biafra is set forever. It will be a great disservice for anyone to continue to use the word Biafra to refer to any part of the East Central state of Nigeria. The tragic chapter of violence is just ended. We are at the dawn of national reconciliation. Once again, we have an opportunity to build a new nation.
Healing is ongoing, but progress has been made. Although Nigeria's past and current leaders acknowledge the war's impact, but tensions persist.
Here at Nigeria's only oil refinery, not one of the Igbos who worked here before the war has been allowed back. Some who bravely applied for their old jobs only narrowly escaped with their lives. Igbo workers have been rejected by the River State's government on security grounds, even though as a federal undertaking the refinery should recruit its staff from all over Nigeria. So the refinery is now working again without the Igbos. Outside the docks, I asked some Rivers men what they thought of the Igbos.
Igbos, though we are all one Nigeria, but they misbehave themselves, and we feel at the moment, at this time, they should remain in their East Central state.
You don't think there is a place for them to work down here now?
At the moment, I don't think so.
Do you think it will come in the future?
That future can tell.
But not now?
Not now.
The Biafran War Memorial honors the war's victims and promotes unity, preserving history, promoting unity, and healing wounds. Today, the Biafran War's legacy is marred by controversy and debate, with questions surrounding international involvement, genocide, and Biafra's quest for independence. Was the war a genocide? Some argue the war constituted genocide, citing systematic killings and displacement of Igbo people. Experts' opinion have stated that the Nigerian military's actions meet the UN's definition of genocide. Others dispute this label, emphasizing the complexity of the conflict. International powers, including the UK and Soviet Union, supported Nigeria's government. Britain particularly had strategic interest in Nigeria's oil and resources. International intervention exacerbated the conflict, prioritizing geopolitical interests over human lives. The Biafran War's devastating impact still resonates today.
I remember on one particular occasion, they were killed. In our group, we were 5. 2 of them were killed. We went, it was in the night. We went behind the enemy line and we were able to move about, saw what we wanted to see, but unfortunately, they saw us and they didn't shoot at immediately. They followed us. There was a barbed wire I passed through. Others were passing. That was when they started shooting and they got 2 of our young boys, small boys, and they were dead. But we got back to make the report.
As we conclude, we reflect on the past, building a better future, and the enduring legacy of this tragic conflict. The Biafran War serves as a warning for Nigeria and Africa. Ethnic tensions, power struggles, and economic disparities can ignite devastating conflicts. Nigeria's federalism and regional autonomy remain contentious issues today, requiring urgent attention. Lessons from Biafra can inform more inclusive governance and conflict prevention. The Biafran War's legacy extends beyond Nigeria, serving as a reminder of humanity's capacity for resilience and forgiveness.
Mr. Kwenzi, I suppose you're a classic example of how are the mighty fallen. You were Director of Information for the federal government and for Biafra, and now here you are selling plastic bottles around the country. What's it been like for you?
Well, I don't regard myself as an example of the mighty fallen, if that's the classification. The real thing is that at the end of the war, everybody started from scratch, and nothing was too menial for anyone to do in order to raise the most difficult commodity to find at the moment, which is money. And it takes a certain amount of courage to be able to do what people do not expect you to do. And I think I've proved the point. I have proved that I can do anything. And many people regard me as an example of the Igbo man who can do anything in any circumstance to fight against any desperate odds.
For the moment, no matter how hard they try to...
The Biafran War story serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the devastating consequences of conflict. May we learn from the past, building a more peaceful future for all.